Hi everyone. I wanted to make a video addressing CWS and IEP meetings because being involved in the special education community and also having had hired an IEP lawyer while I was in the family maintenance program myself, while being involved in the social worker program as a student, while trying to get through this situation, at the same time, I thought I would share my own personal experience in this situation. And of course, I have to say that I am not a legal counsel. So if you can't afford to hire an IEP lawyer, please go do that. But if you can't, I thought I would share my experience. And number one, if you are in a family maintenance program and if the children are living with you, my personal experience is that the adults have a legal right to be basically the main deciders of the child's IEP, not CWS. What you need to understand is that CWS is allowed to sit and observe what occurs at a meeting, at an IEP meeting. Sit and observe. It is not your obligation as a parent to make sure that they show up. Okay? It's not your obligation. You can give them the date, or what usually is what's supposed to happen is the social worker is supposed to contact the school. Okay, but you can give them a date if you want to be nice. You can give them the date and they can show up, but it's not your legal obligation to make sure that they actually show up for the IEP meeting. That is a social worker's job. That's what they are paid to do. What happens is that if they actually do their job, they are supposed to observe and have watch the parents, ask questions, interact. And usually an IEP meeting, as you guys know, can take anywhere from I've had mine last 6 hours, sometimes 4 hours, just because it depends on how complicated the needs are of your child. And what I've experienced in my own self is that the social workers usually don't understand anything. They are not trained in special needs. Most of them are not. And so what I had was the social worker, when it came to reporting to the judge, it was completely inaccurate. Everything what happened during the IEP meeting was wrong. And so the IEP lawyer, which I was blessed by chance to hire, had to actually turn in the copies of the IEP report. Now, what you need to know is technically the CWS court really has no business having any information on a special education child. They're not supposed to even be involved, but what they like to do is they like to tag parents, say, this is one more reason why a parent should not have a child. Okay? They didn't give us IEP report. Well, you're not supposed to really have it, social worker. Even I know that. You're not supposed to be involved in that. You're not even allowed to talk when you're there. Okay? Unless the parents are not even there. Okay? And if they're with like a foster care, something like that. But if the parents are actually there and involved, you need to be quiet and sit down, okay? But another example that I had is my child's autistic and later was diagnosed. And it's a wonderful place, Central Valley Regional Center. This is when I want to explain the fraud. And the reason why I'm posting this is it's so important. Wonderful place. They are experts in autism. Well, before my daughter went in there, she was in the process of getting assessed. And so we had made an appointment and had a phone, just, an appointment card, nothing special. That's the process of getting in. My court date, I went in there and I didn't have the card. None of us knew it was a big deal. The social worker tried to have my children removed from me because I didn't have a copy of the card. But my lawyer, being the best person that he could be, said, look, you can call them on the phone. They have an appointment. The mom has done everything. If it wasn't for the lawyers that I had there, the kids would have been taken. It was illegal. They weren't even supposed to be involved in an IEP. Now, I'm not going to go into the judge. He's not even there anymore. But the amount of fraud that was done is unbelievable. Because I know there's other parents on here reporting the same problem. It wasn't even the court's place to be involved. But for something as little that my child she legally had an appointment. And they tried to say, we're going to try and remove just because we don't have the card, when I could have literally called and shown, because the social worker lied on everything. And they had no business being involved in the first place. I want all parents to understand, like I said, if you can hire an IEP lawyer, do that. But please have witnesses with you at all times. If you can go to an IEP meeting with another person, another family, please do that. Please go and get legal counsel. I know there's free, legal accesses in the community. I always forget the name, but go talk to them because they have free legal advice, or sometimes they can just help you out because you need to protect yourself. I've learned from 2 years of hardship. You know, there are so many times, 2 times they got it wrong. And we told them, this is just throw away. This is garbage. None of this is just take the paper and toss it in the garbage. It's garbage because it didn't match anything that happened. Where you didn't even, the social worker didn't even show up to the IEP meeting. She didn't even show up. Also, you know, I mean, this is the reality of the situations. Now, all social workers are not bad. I want to say that I have met some very good social workers. Actually, a couple of them were CWS workers. I have to be honest with you. But my experience was wild, and I was in the social worker program, and technically I still am, you know, but I'm not going in that area. See what I'm saying? And so it amazes me because I realize why people have such hatred for this particular department, and this is the reason why. And I had to go through hellfire. And I want people to understand that the best way to protect yourself is to have more than one person with you, to just drop the appointment card off, and in fact give one to the social worker and demand that you give a copy to their supervisor, because what you'll see is that they'll say, you never gave me a date of the time of the IEP, so you know what? You denied me an opportunity to go. Well, reality is not your problem, to be honest. I mean, you can tell them, here it is, but you want to make sure you play the game. This is a game. This is a mind game. So the reality is do that. Drop one for the social worker and then go for their supervisor and give one to them. And what you're going to notice is in the departments, there's rotating supervisors. So your social worker will have their own supervisors. And sometimes when they're not there, there's a rotating supervisor. It's a game. That way, if you can't get one, you get one. So remember, if you're upset with your social worker, call that phone and report them, and then keep calling because they can't get away with everything. All right. But you have to be honest. You have to tell the truth. So if they're not doing anything, don't call. You know, if they're doing their job, leave them alone. But if they're not doing their job, and if they're lying, if they're really lying, call and turn them in and go to the state of California and pull their license. 3 strikes, you're out. They pull your license in some states. So you need to remember that. Social workers do get black marks. A lot of people don't know this. They can resign in front of a judge. I had one resign in front of me in front of a judge. So it does happen. Now, a lot of people don't like to talk about that, but I don't have a problem anymore. So I want to make sure people understand that you do have rights. But when it comes to special education, people need to learn, you know, if you can, like I always say, please hire a legal advisor. But I mean, I've experienced so much, it's just ridiculous. But what you can do is you can always protect yourself by being open to communication, and then make sure that you give the social worker a card, the advisor or the supervisor a card at the same time, and then you've done your job. Because remember, it's not your place to make sure they show up. They're a social worker. But date and stamp the time, make copies, and then you tell the judge, I told him. Even though really it's not the court's problem to be there. But remember, this is a game. They're going to do everything they can to make sure, if you're in that situation, that you don't keep a kid. You know? Now, not everybody's like that. I want to say this, but if you feel you're in that situation, then you need to protect yourself. Document everything. Cover yourself. And then take pictures if you have to, of you in front of the building, or putting it with the time, date, and stamp, outside of the building, because they probably don't want you to take pictures of the inside of the building, but outside. If you have to, take a picture of you parked in the parking lot with the date, if the car has a date on it, or times or whatnot, or of your cell phone if it has a date and time. Do that with a picture on it while you're in the parking lot. I mean, this is literally how you play the game. You always have to think one step ahead. This is somebody who is a student in social services, but I'm not going in that department, so I don't care. And so, sorry guys, but like I said, not everybody in that department is bad. There are many wonderful people, but unfortunately, I got stuck with somebody who was not so nice. But I do know a lot of students who are wonderful people who plan on going into that area, who plan on changing that area, who it would be wonderful. And these are people that mean well, who want to actually help children, and who do believe that parents are good and they don't want children taken away. They actually want to help them. So that gives me hope for future generations. There are a lot of good kids going in there. And I do not believe that all CWS is evil, but I have experienced great evil. And I do want to see more families stay together. I do want to see CWS change for the positive. And I have met a lot of wonderful students going into the program that I do believe can do this. But the crappy part of the program needs to be exposed, because when you expose it and you explain it, then they can change it. And that's why this needs to happen, because they say, when you have a wound that's leaking and you don't treat it, it starts to rot. So what you do is you expose it, you clean it, you treat it with antibiotics, and then it goes away, it starts to heal. And that's what this department needs to do. It needs to be treated so it can be fixed and people can work together as a community. And that's what needs to happen. So I plan on posting more videos as I go. So much has happened in the last 2 years. I just don't have time. That's another thing when you have disabled kids, or we're trying to, go get your stuff back together so you go to school. It's just, you don't have a lot of time. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4. You're back and forth like a ping pong. So I have a great deal of experience and a lot of wonderful people that I've met, not so good people that I met, but I'm hoping that in the future there'll be a lot more positive stories with CWS. So that's my great hope with the younger generations that really, really mean well. And they don't get bitter. They don't get pissed off, because there's a lot of bad stuff that you do see that makes you want to take the kids away. And I get that. I do want to say that, guys. But when it comes to IEP meetings and stuff like that, this is a technical stuff that there needs to be that fine line where it's not their, place to do that. You can sit there and observe, take notes. But when you write the notes to the judge, check yourself and make sure you know what the hell you're writing. Because when my lawyer comes up against you, you look stupid and you look like you don't know what the hell you're doing. And they do get in trouble. And that's sad, because the social worker will be put on leave, or they'll put, you can get a new one, because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. So it goes both ways. You do your job, and the social worker better do their damn job. So it goes both ways. So anyways, that's why I had to say that with the IEPs, because I know a lot of parents have to go through that. Not a lot of people can afford lawyers. I was very blessed, but it was a burden. But I had 2 kids that I had to do it for. And I hope that other people can get help. But please remember, always have a witness. With an IEP, keep copies of everything. And again, if you have to tell the social worker, give 1 appointment card to them and 1 to their supervisor. Take a picture outside with the card, the date and the time. And then that way they cannot say you never gave it to them. It is not your problem if they show up or not. And if they're not accurate, take a copy of the IEP to court for the lawyer or for the judge. And also if you have a lawyer, for the lawyer, but for the judge. So if you feel like they did not report, when expect them to fuck it up, excuse the language, but expect them to screw it up, you can say, no, here you go, judge. This is the actual IEP, or you could probably submit it. I think mine actually submitted it. So you can actually submit it. If you feel that there's something wrong, please do your homework and please research. And of course, that's my personal opinion, but I also, we did a lot of stuff. So please seek legal counsel, and remember, you have rights. Always do your homework, but always question people. And if you ever feel something is not right, remember, you do have rights to call a supervisor, turn them in, and they cannot scare you. They cannot bully you. And that's it. You have more power than you realize. All right? Okay, bye-bye.